Rivendell Minicraft. This is a MOC by LUCKYHAO. Instructions for this MOC were published on Replicable.com in August 2024 for €20. According to Replicable, this MOC consists of 5,788 pieces, but this number can't be correct. Why? Well, that's a question I will answer later. So, this MOC is a model of Rivendell, like we saw it in Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings movies. It's a model of Peter Jackson's version of Rivendell. And I think this MOC here really comes quite close to this movie version. On the first look, I only notice maybe two things to complain about. There shouldn't be any water here. This area should be black, just like over here. The waterfalls are way taller, the river or whatever this is supposed to be should be way more down here, not visible in this model. The model only depicts the upper part of the hill was cut through, so the area here which depicts water should actually be just air, and hence it should simply be black like this area over here. The other thing which looks a bit off is the color of the hill itself. In the movies, the rocks look more yellowish and greenish. I would have used more pieces in tan, dark tan, brown and green. But so far, these two things are the only things I can complain about. I fear that later we have way more things to complain about. Why do I fear this? Well, because of a comment by Sir Percival. He is known in the scene for his huge MOCs with 100,000 pieces and more, and he also makes instructions for these huge MOCs, so he really knows what he is talking about. If I remember correctly, I bought the instructions for this MOC 2 or 3 months after the release, and I also ordered the bricks back then. But a few months later, Sir Percival posted a comment, and because of this comment, I learned that there are quite a few problems with this MOC. The first problem is that the replicable parts list actually isn't complete at all. That's something Sir Percival says, and I checked it, and yeah, it's absolutely right. Luckily, we got an inventory list at the end of the instructions. I compared that parts list to the replicable list and ordered the missing pieces too. A problem with the correct parts list is that not all of those pieces do exist in the right colors, especially if you are a purist and only want to use pieces produced by the Lego company. For me personally, this is not a big problem. I happily use standard pieces produced by various companies. This gives me more freedom with the colors. There are pieces by other companies in almost all of the needed colors. But nevertheless, I had to change some colors. I replaced all Fabulent brown pieces with pieces in medium nougat, and I also replaced all pieces in old gray, light gray with pieces in light bluish gray. I couldn't find 3x3 corner plates in light bluish gray and dark bluish gray. That's why I replaced them with 1x2 plates and 1x3 plates, and 2x2 corner plates and 1x1 plates. I will have to see during the building process which alternative I'm going to use. There are more problems mentioned by Sir Percival. Problems with the instructions, and those problems sound more severe. The instructions resolution is too low, so in some steps you can't really see what to do. The order of the steps is illogical. Sometimes you have to disassemble parts of the build to be able to place other pieces. And according to Sir Percival, the biggest problem is that often the build is shown in weird angles, so you can't see where you have to place the pieces. According to Sir Percival, the instructions are really bad. He is convinced that LUCKYHAO has never made instructions before, and that he definitely hasn't built a physical version of this MOC with these instructions. Sir Percival didn't complete the build, he gave up after having assembled about a third of this MOC. There's also a comment by another user who confirms everything Sir Percival said, and he gave up after assembling about a quarter of the build. Yeah, all of this doesn't really sound good. Nevertheless, I will give this MOC a try. Since the inventory list at Rebrickable is faulty, I have no idea how many bricks exactly we need for this build. Initially, I bought this huge bag of bricks by various brick producers from China for about 254 euros and about 26 euros for shipping. But after having read the comment by Sir Percival, I also had to notice that those are not all the bricks we are going to need. Because of that, I had to order more pieces. The next order from China that cost me about 5.50 euros for the pieces, plus about 4 euros for the bricks. Those are also pieces by various brick producers. The next order that cost me about 8 euros for the bricks and about 2.50 euros for shipping. Those are all Go bricks, so best quality pieces we got here. The next order from China that cost me about €1 for the pieces plus 1.50 euro for shipping. And the final order from China that cost me about 6.50 euro for the pieces, and this time shipping was free. Sadly, not all pieces which we need for this MOC are produced by alternative brick producers. Some pieces are still protected by the Lego company and only produced by them. And so I also had to order several pieces from Bricklink. My first order came from Poland, and I paid about 4.50 euros for the bricks and about 8.50 euros for shipping. That's quite expensive. The next order of Lego bricks that come from Germany, and those pieces did cost me about 16.50 euro plus 5.50 euros for shipping. And the last order that also come from Germany, and those pieces that cost me about 2 euros plus about 4 euros for shipping. All in all, I have paid about 298 euros for the bricks and about 52 euros for shipping alone. That makes in total 350 euros. But we also have to add the price of the instructions, which did cost 20 euros. So in total, I have paid 370 euros for this MOC. I really hope that I will be able to complete this MOC and that I haven't wasted such a huge amount of money. This isn't cheap. Well, actually, I guess maybe I have wasted the money for the instructions, but you can't waste money for bricks, because if I can't use the bricks for this MOC here, I can use the pieces for something else. You can always make something out of those bricks. But I really hope that I will be able to assemble the whole MOC, because it would really be annoying if I couldn't do that. Well, you can see that it's a really huge amount of pieces. I guess it's about 6,000 pieces. I don't know. And to have a smooth building experience, I need to sort all the pieces by type before I start with the building process. This will take a lot of time. I will erase a lot of hours from my life. which I could spend for something meaningful, but sadly I'm really into bricks and I really want to assemble this MOC, so I will spend the time. It took me about half a day to sort all the pieces by type, but finally I managed to do so. You can see I have used a bag for each type of bricks, and yeah, this might not be the best method, but I didn't know what to do else. Normally I place all the pieces in these cardboard bowls, but those are so many pieces, I simply do not have enough of those bowls, and yeah. I guess this is going to be some kind of learning by doing. During the building process, I'm quite sure that I will fill in some of those bowls with the bricks of the bags. But hopefully I will not have to use all the bags at once, so yeah, I think I will find some way to manage this huge amount of pieces. Alright, now I'm going to start with step 1. I will come back to you as soon as I see something interesting or as soon as I run into a problem. Step 3. The fun begins. We have placed all these huge black plates here. Some of them aren't that huge, some of them are tinier. Other of these plates are big plates. But you can see that we really have placed a lot of those plates here. And now we are supposed to turn everything around so that we can place other plates on the underside. Step 7. In the step we have to place black tiles and have a look at these 1x2 tiles. I guess those both are 1x2 tiles, so maybe one of them is a 1x2 tile with notch and the other one is one without notch. I don't know. I'm just going to use 3 1x2 tiles, and yeah, it seems that mine do have a notch. Step 9. I'm so happy that we finally reached a step in which, the instructions zoom in so that we can see some details. So far, all the steps looked like this, and it's extremely difficult to distinguish the individual pieces from each other. Zooming in doesn't help much because the resolution simply is too low, so we can't see very well. And yeah, you can see that we have placed a lot of black pieces, and from that far away, all the black pieces just look the same. So it's really cool that finally I have reached a point where I can see something. But this step has other problems. So we have placed these pieces over here, but there are 2 pieces which I can't see where to place. We have to place 2 1x2 plates in white. One is placed here, but we can't see where the other one is placed, and it's also not visible where this 1x2 plate in light bluish gray is placed. My guess is somewhere over here, but we can't see it here. Let's have a look at another step, at a later step. Yeah, in step 13 we can at least see where the white piece is supposed to be placed. It's this position. And now we can only guess. You see, the stat next to the white piece is empty. So this means this stat here is empty, and maybe the gray piece is placed here, but we can't be sure. Let's have a look at another step. Yeah, here in step 15 we can see that it's really placed here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not looking forward to these kind of problems. Those are always very annoying. Step 33. I think we are building some kind of rock right now. And yeah, this is the segment to which we add these two pieces here. It's no problem to add the piece on the right, but there's a problem with adding the mirrored piece on this side here. And this is because of this brick modified here. I can't place the piece there because it interferes with the stat of the brick modified. We have placed the brick modified in step 31. But yeah, we can't use it at this position. There are two solutions now. One solution would be to replace the brick modified with a simple 1x1 brick, but I'm doing something else. I'm just turning it around, and that way it doesn't interfere with this piece here. And if I looked correctly at the upcoming steps, then the brick, the stat on this side won't interfere with any other pieces, so it's fine. Step 35. Two of the pieces which we have to place in this step are these two 1x1 plates, but we can't really see where we have to place them. We have to search for another step where we can see this segment from another angle. Here in step 52 we can see that the two plates have to be placed here. That's here at our segment. That's quite unfortunate, the angles which are chosen here for the instructions. Step 44. Once again, I have the problem that a stat of a brick modified interferes with the piece that I want to place. I can't place this piece here because the stat of the brick modified simply is in the way. This time it's a bit more complex than to just replace the piece with another piece of the build, because this time it's not a 1x1 brick modified, it's a 1x2 brick modified. Let's see what I can do here. Oops. It's not so easy. I could place this down here and get this up here. And then, okay, I have an idea what I'm going to do. So let's put these pieces aside. Let's take this apart. Let's take that apart. Then let's remove these pieces here. Oops, I think I need a brick separator for that. Yeah, this is something I probably should do with two hands, I guess. So this one is removed. Let's remove another one. Okay. Now, what was my plan? I can't remember. Okay. let's put that one down here. And this should be fine. We can replace re-interlock that segment again. So far everything looks like this. And this is the position where we need a normal stud, a normal 1x1 brick. So I'm going to remove this one here. I put it over here. And instead of the 1x1 brick, I place this brick modified there. And this goes back here. I can place this brick modified there. This goes here on top. This piece goes here. This part used to be here. And yeah, now I have modified the build in such a way that it should be easy to interlock this piece here. So it looks identical to this build. The only thing I have done differently is that I removed the stud from here and placed it over here where, yeah, it doesn't bother us. And now I should be able to place the piece where it belongs. Oops. Come on. Yeah, great. Step 50. Another rock, another stud too much, and once again it's because of a 1x2 brick modified. I'm doing exactly the same thing which I did with the other rock. I will place this 1x2 brick modified down there, then I will get these two brick modifieds up here, and I will replace this 1x1 brick modified, which I placed from here to there. I will replace it with this 1x1 standard brick, and I will pay attention that the stud will look into this direction. Problem solved. Haha. Step 54. Placing this piece like this is very strange. My guess is that in a later step we are going to place other pieces here. Then we will have to remove this piece again. And yeah, when we have placed the pieces there, then we can interlock this piece with this segment here and with those bricks below. Very strange. Step 57. In this step we solve the problem. So we remove the piece, we place this slope here, and after that we can replace this other piece. Step 74. This is not a given for a MOC, that we get to know what the colors are called in which the bricks are that we have to place. So you can see that we have to place plant pieces in green and in bright green, and yeah, these are simply colors which can be messed up quite easily if you don't pay enough attention, or it's simply very difficult to see what color really is there shown in this image. And it's always cool when we get written down what the colors are that we have to place. Step 83. During the building process so far, I stumbled upon several steps where it wasn't so easy to place some pieces without removing other pieces before, but nothing really worth being mentioned. But it starts to get wilder. Have a look here. We have to place this segment there. And yeah, this anti-stat has to be interlocked with that stat down there. This definitely can't be placed without taking parts off again. So I think I will start with this here, then that. And let's see. This here is probably next. Get off. Yeah. Then we can place this segment here. And now we have to re-interlock everything. Was it like this? Yeah, I think so. And this goes here. Step 91. We are building another rock, and once again we have the problem that there is a stat too much because of a brick modified. This is supposed to be placed here, that's no problem, but we can't place this piece because of that stat here. And this time I see no way to simply swap pieces which are already somewhere here in this little segment. You can see this time it's a 1x2 brick modified, and I can't swap it with other pieces because these pieces here are not simple 1x1 brick modifieds. Those are brick modifieds with 2 stats. Yeah, I guess I will have to replace this 1x2 brick modified with a 1x1 brick modified and a simple 1x1 brick. Also here on the back side I have a problem. In a previous step we had to place this brick modified here, but I couldn't really see at what direction or which direction this stud here is facing. And I guess that it is supposed to face this curved slope here. But when we place it in such a position, we can't interlock the slope there because it interferes with the stud. The stud doesn't have the right position for that slope. And that's why I place the direction of the stud in this way. But I think I can swap this piece here with that piece, so that the stud faces inside this little compartment here. So if this isn't correct, I will see it later, then I can swap those 2 pieces, that's no problem. But this here is a bit problematic. I guess I somewhere have those pieces, but nevertheless it's annoying that I have to use pieces which I haven't bought for this build. Alright, I have replaced the 1x2 brick modified with a 1x1 brick modified and another 1x2 brick modified, which I turned around because I couldn't find a simple 1x1 brick. But this doesn't matter very much. And now we can place the pieces here without any problem. Okay, then now let's get to the brick modified here in the back. I had a quick look at the next step, step 92, and there we can clearly see that here isn't supposed to be a stud. I think I planned to swap the brick modified with this brick over here, but I forgot that this is of course also a brick modified, so this can't work. The stud faces the slope here. So I guess I will try to swap the brick modified with this white brick, and hopefully the white brick won't be visible at this position anyways, so it doesn't really matter. So, just like this. Alright, then let's see if I can place this whole segment on our build. Where is the right position? I'm not quite sure. I think it's here in the back. Oh yeah. We are supposed to place the segment here, but we can't do so, I think, because something interferes with it. Where is the problem? This piece popped off somewhere. I think I will have to take off some pieces here to give us more space, and afterwards I will re-add them. Yeah, removing some pieces and adding them afterwards, after I have added the segment, helped a lot. Now everything is in the right position. Step 97. To place this 1x3 brick, I had to remove this segment here. So you can see I removed it, here it is. And now I wanted to simply re-add it, but this is not possible. The lower stud of that white brick modified here, that, yeah, can't be used because this stud of the 1x3 brick is in the way. Well, I guess I will try to turn the brick modified around so that it does face inside. And then the whole little segment will only be held in place by this stud here, but that's hopefully enough. Step 108. Once again, this stud interferes with this piece here. I guess the designer hasn't done any test build. He only built everything digitally. And so he didn't notice that, this stud always interferes with this piece here. So I solved the problem by swapping these two pieces. And yeah, one of the studs now faces the inside, but I think in a later step we will add it somewhere here, like this. And you can see that it fits there without being in the way of something else. Step 114. It seems that the designer did the error with the additional stud throughout the whole MOC. And yeah, you can see I once again can't place this piece. I will stop talking about this error now, because otherwise this video will get very tedious. Have a look here. We still have quite a few of those pieces to place, and I'm quite sure that he did this error with each of those pieces, and yeah, I simply don't want to talk about it any longer. Step 119. I think this piece here doesn't exist in light bluish gray. At least I couldn't order it anywhere. So I have got this piece in different colors, but not in light bluish gray. And that's why I'm going to replace this piece with a 1x3 plate and a 1x2 plate, just like this. Step 121. In this step we have to place besides other pieces, also 2, or better said 3, 1x1 slopes. I already have placed one of the slopes, but the other 2 slopes can't be placed. Have a look here. They are supposed to be placed here, there, but there are no studs. It's impossible to place those pieces here. At least they won't stay in position. Step 127. In this step we have to place a minifigure hand, but you can see we have placed it nowhere. It's just floating. Let's have a look at one of the next steps. Here it is visible. It is attached to this twiggy thing which we are going to add in step 128. Step 217. This step uses an illegal building technique upon which I have stumbled now several times in this MOC. So you can see that we get here those gaps which we have produced with these hinge, wedge pieces, whatever. And LUCKYHAO wants to fill these gaps with these pieces here. But this simply doesn't work. We can't interlock this piece here. It can't sit properly in that gap. It's just a bit too big. Sometimes this method works because it doesn't interfere with other pieces surrounding the gap, like in this case, but you can see that the 1x1 round brick on which this gray piece here sits actually isn't interlocked correctly. We can't see it that well, but it is connected in a slight angle. And yeah, we also used that technique, I think, somewhere over here. Yeah, here and there. And maybe you can see that this piece here doesn't sit straight on top of the piece below. It sits there in a slight angle, and also this piece here is under a lot of pressure. But at least I somehow managed the pieces to stay in place over there. But I don't see any solution for this here. I have no chance to interlock this 1x1 plate, or this 1x1 round plate, with the 1x1 round brick below. That's a bit annoying. Yeah, no chance. I think I'm going to solve the problem with another 1x1 round plate. Yeah, that solved the problem. It doesn't look absolutely correct from the front, but I guess it won't be visible in the end. At least it will not draw too much attention on itself. Step 229. If I remember correctly, then in the inventory list of this MOC, there is this piece here listed as, a variation of this piece here. In the inventory list, we get to see a piece which was made in the 50s or in the 60s, I can't remember, and it's completely hollow, so it doesn't have these these separations here, and this really isn't necessary. I just used a single I just ordered a single 1x8 brick, And without any problem, we should be able to place it on our build. Let me have a look where we have to place it. I think over here, yeah, just like that. And as you can see, it's no problem at all to place this piece here. Step 239. In many of the steps there are some pieces which we just can't see where we have to place them, but in most cases it's quite obvious where to place them. But in this case I'm not sure. Have a look here. We get this bar and I can't see where we have to place it. Here's one of those bars marked with the red line, but that's the bar which we have placed over here. Actually, they only marked the yellow plant. By the way, it's extremely annoying that this huge watermark is always in the middle of the image. But now back to the piece which we do not know where to place. I thought, since we always have placed those bars on one of these things here, that maybe once again we have to place it on one of those things. So when we have a look at this image, we can see one of the pieces where the bar isn't placed. That one here. And so I thought, yeah, I guess it's placed over here. But that's not correct. When we have a look at the next step, there we can see that the bar is placed over here, which actually means that I have misplaced the green piece. I thought the green piece sits below the yellow piece here, but actually there is a bigger gap between those pieces achieved with the bar. So let me place the camera. We have to detach those pieces here again. One. Oh, come on. Come off. Two. All right. Then we have to stick the bar in the screen piece. Then we can stick the bar through this dark orange leaf. Oops. Which one was it? That one here, yeah. And then on top of it, there sits the yellow leaf. It's a bit annoying that we have to scroll through the whole instructions the whole time. Step 249. It is never fun to build trees with building blocks, and this tree isn't an exception. It doesn't look very sturdy, and it isn't really sturdy, but to be honest, it's way sturdier than it looks. And I think it looks quite cool. It's a neat, colorful tree. Well, this is how our build looks so far, and now it's time to build or start building the first of those bigger segments. We are starting to build buildings. Step 251. In the previous steps we have placed these pieces here. Now we are supposed to place other pieces below, And we can't even see where most of those pieces go. Have a look here at all those 1x2 pieces. I have no idea where they are. I'm only sure about the 1x4 plates. Damn. So I think I could find out where some of the pieces belong, but as you can see, there are still several pieces about which I'm not sure. I think this 1x2 plate goes here, but it isn't connected by anything. And I have no idea where to place those pieces. I guess these 1x2 round plates go somewhere between these two plates here, and no idea where I have to place this one. Let's see where we can place it in the build. If I'm not mistaken, in the end, this goes here, like this, and this should be here. Is this right? I think so. Which means we can place this 1x2 plate there, because it is supported by the brick below. Alright, and then our build looks like this. I will have to place some of the pieces below this side because nothing is interlocked on that side. Some of the pieces have to go there. Is one enough? I think so. Let's give it another try. No, one is not enough. We need a second one of those pieces there. Like this. Okay, and I think then it's time to just try out where I can place those other pieces in such a way that they don't interfere with other pieces. Maybe we put this over here and and yeah, let's just try it out. I have no clue. I don't know if it is even possible to interlock those two segments with each other. That doesn't work at all. Maybe like this? No, this doesn't work either. I really have no clue. Maybe I should stop bothering. Maybe these two segments aren't meant to be connected in this step. Here you can see where I have placed the 1x2 round plates, and I placed them at these positions because I think we need them to fill a gap between the pillars and the underside of the segment here. And when we place the plates at these positions, they give us some support. And I'm also using an additional piece to create another pillar, which I will place here. And I think this makes the build in the end a bit more sturdy. So this is placed here. And then this is placed here. We will see how this here is connected in the end. I guess by building the building, we will connect these two segments with each other, and then this will be connected. Yeah, what a strange sentence. What I want to say is that I guess in the end, this won't be able to slide like this any longer. But for now, we have to remove those two segments from the build again, and now we can start to build the building on top of these two segments. I just noticed that my additional pillar isn't tall enough, and that's why I added a 1x2 tile. Step 283. In this step we have to place two of those 1x1 slopes. One is placed here, that's here in our build, but we can't see where we have to place the other slope. For that, we have to look at a later step. I think in step 299 that's clearly visible. Yeah, over here is the other slope, which means in our build it's this position. Step 284. According to the instructions, we have to use two mold variations of these 1x2 plates in dark bluish gray. But I'm definitely not going to use two variations. I'm just going to use one kind of those plates because it really doesn't matter at all. Step 309. The house grows and grows, and you can see that the two parts have become one. We haven't interlocked those two parts with each other, but when you have a close look over here, you can see that we have placed several wedges on top of each other, and they some kind of interlock. No studs are connected with each other, but because of doing this, somehow everything just holds together. It just holds together because of pressure, I guess. I don't know. Also here on this side, I think the only real connection, or the only way where pieces interfere with each other is this round or half circle tile and this plate on the other side. This side pushes down on that tile. In the beginning, this wasn't a sturdy connection at all. You could simply slide the two pieces into each other or out of each other, but I don't know, somehow after a while those pieces started to stick together. That's very interesting. But nevertheless, I wouldn't handle this house here too hard. I fear that then the two parts will separate again. Okay, but now I want to talk about something else. So in the step we have to use a 1x2 by 2/3 slope. The problem is that the Lego company doesn't produce those slopes in dark tan. You can see here this is a slope in green, but we need this in dark tan. And I searched longer for a piece by an alternative producer in that color, in the dark tan color, but I couldn't find anything. So I thought to myself an alternative might be to use this grill slope here in dark tan. But then, after more searching, I found this piece here on AliExpress. It's in dark tan and it looks similar to this slope, but it isn't exactly the same. You can see here in the front that the dark tan slope has other dimensions than the green slope. All in all, the dimensions are the same. It's 1 by 2, and at the tallest position it's 2/3, but the tip differs. So, I don't know what to do. Should I use this piece here, which has the exact dimensions, but has these holes in here because it's a grill? Or should I simply ignore the tip and use this piece here, which doesn't come with holes? I guess I will try the closed thing and just ignore that the tip isn't exact. Maybe you won't even be able to see it once, or you won't recognize it once we have added it to the build. What to do? I guess most of the time we will have a look at it from the front, so probably it's the better solution to use the closed piece and not here, this open one. Yeah, I will use the piece with the wrong dimensions. I have no idea, maybe it's an alternative for a Megabricks piece or a Kobe piece, I don't know. But it clearly doesn't have the Lego dimensions. Oh, and by the way, actually also this, I don't know, this little square or table or whatever belongs to the build, to this house. It's supposed to be at this position, but I can't interlock it at the moment because you can see here there is no plate below. I think the plate below is the plate which I have placed here. Since we have a jumper plate up here now, we would be able to detach the plate from here and place it over here, but I think I won't do this because this way it's better in the end to interlock the whole segment with the main build. I just have better overview then because I can aim here at that position. Otherwise, yeah, I guess it's not so easy to place the completed build at the right position. Alright, time to go on. Step 311. Since we have to add this segment here to the house in the step, like, oh come on, like this, so you can see it goes below this round segment here in the back, I decided that now it's time to add the 1x2 plate, which I had placed previously here at that pillar. Step 313. What's this? Step 326. In this step we have to use this piece here, which I do not have in this dark gray color. I guess it doesn't exist in dark gray. The Lego company doesn't produce it in that color, and I couldn't find it by any other company either. And so what I did was to replace it with a 1x3 plate and a 1x2 plate. But the thing is that this doesn't work here. It wouldn't even work with the right piece like shown in the instructions. The step simply isn't thought through. Have a look here. Those two segments aren't connected with each other. And yeah, since we are building such a cute roof right now, some kind of stability is important, because we aren't going to connect the pieces from the other side either. We are only placing these tiles on there, and since those are all 1x1 pieces, they don't create any new connections. My solution is to use a corner plate. Now the whole roof is connected. Step 329. Once again, we have to use a 3x3 corner plate, which just doesn't exist in light bluish gray. And yeah, this time I used another solution. I used a 1x3 plate and a 2x2 plate. This part here of the 2x2 plate belongs to our corner plate, and the other half of the 2x2 plate replaces a 1x2 plate. I have done so to simply achieve that I can connect all the pieces with each other in step 330. Step 336. We have completed the first building, and now it's time to marry it with the main build. I hope we can manage this without any bigger problem. Wow, that was surprisingly easy. I didn't expect that. I removed the tree and also those flowers here before I tried to connect the building with the base. But other than that, I didn't have to do anything special. The building almost immediately fell into place. Awesome. Step 345. We are building another tree, and I fear for this tree we are using an illegal building technique. So we have this bigger segment up here, which consists of these two green leaf pieces, this 1x2 round plate, and also this yellow 1x1 flower piece. And we connected to the trunk via this little twig here. But you can see that the twig is slightly bent. The green piece just is too big. It's pressed firmly against the trunk, but it doesn't help. We still have to bend the twig slightly to be able to connect it with with the yellow piece. It's sturdy and it somehow works, but I don't like that we see this thing being bent. Step 352. Building trees is always a bit fiddly. You can't always place the pieces exactly like shown in the instructions, and I think it doesn't really matter that the pieces have the exact position, because a tree is something biological which just isn't perfect, and because of that I don't think that we have to pay too much attention to place the pieces at the right position. So according to the instructions, this leaf here is supposed to be added to this twig in that position. But I'm not even sure if it is possible to place it in such a way or if it interferes with the trunk. What I'm going to do is to place it in the opposite direction, like that. And it's gone. Step 373. In this step we have to use a 4x4 tile. It's the second time that we have to use such a tile in this MOC. And, well, it seems that I only have ordered one of those tiles. Luckily, I still have another of those tiles in my collection, which I can use now. But you can see that I printed that tile because, yeah, I planned to use it to modify a Bluebricks Stargate set, but in the end, I didn't use it. I used another piece. And because of this, I have this piece now left over. I hope that in the end we won't see anything of the print. I don't think so. I think this year is some kind of gatehouse to Rivendell, and a building is up here and a building is here, and I think here in the middle there is a gate. So I hope that we will simply put stuff on top of this print. Step 385. Once again we are building one of those rock pieces, and like always there is a stat too much, so we can't build like shown in the instructions, but it's not that stat too much about which I want to talk. Here we get another stat too much, or better said, a stat at the wrong position. You can see here there's a stat and there's a stat, but we can't add this little slopey segment like shown here to the build. For that, the stat is simply in the wrong position. I guess to fix that, yeah, I don't know how to fix that. Best is to replace this brick modified, which comes with two stats, with a brick modified which only has a stat here in the front, I guess. No, we have to do another solution. The solution isn't to replace it with another brick modified. The solution is to replace it with a simple 1x1 brick, because we can't connect anything to the other stat either. We have to connect this piece here to that stat, and that's also not possible. So I'm going to, I think, to replace this, this piece here with a 1x1 brick without any stats to the sides, so not a brick modified. Okay, this is an annoying little segment. So my solution now is to just use this single 1x1 brick modified with two stats. To those we can attach this piece or this segment here and this piece here. Step 472. In this step we have to place quite a few pieces, and I have placed all of them but one. We can't see where this 1x1 brick is supposed to be placed. We have to go on until step 475, and I think that over here we can see this brick. So we have to place it. Let's try some more light. We have to place it over here, I think. Yeah, this might be right. Step 473 doesn't show us where to place the 1x1 brick, but once again, step 475 saves us. Step 503. For a lot of steps now, I was annoyed that these two plates aren't supported from below. In the meantime, we have added a lot of stuff on them. And yeah, that stuff made the whole build in this area here a bit more sturdy. But now in this step, step 503, we support the whole construction with a brick from below, which of course now isn't so easy to place down there. We have to take parts of the build off again, so that we are able to place this brick there. That's very annoying. Step 507. Placing this 1x2 tile here was absolutely horrible. To do so, I had to take apart this whole segment here of the build, and it really made the build unsturdy, and a lot of pieces weren't interlocked properly any longer, and it was difficult to place everything back in position again. This was just awful. It's just impossible to place this piece here without taking everything apart, because you can see here there's no space. It is stuck in there, and you can't just stick it in there. You have to put it on top of a stud, of course, to interlock it with this wedge behind. And this is just an impossible task. You have to take apart big parts of the build, and yeah, that's it isn't horrible design, but the instructions are horrible sometimes. You really think that the designer hasn't built the build itself with the instructions. Maybe has only built it digital, then it's no problem. But if he really has built it in reality, then he definitely didn't use his own instructions for that. Step 555. Finally, we are closing this gap, but this is something which should have been done before we have placed this plate here many steps ago. How am I supposed to get this below that plate? Well, with bending this plate here and pure force, I managed to squeeze in these pieces here. This really isn't fun. The instructions simply aren't thought through concerning these kind of things. It's really annoying. Step 569. We have built this little segment here, but it's completely loose. It isn't interlocked to anything. Maybe in some later steps we are going to place other bricks here and then it will be pressed into place, but so far it doesn't look so. Step 594. We have completed a second building, and I have to say it somehow triggers me. You can see that the lower part of this building consists of several pillars. And yeah, these pillars simply aren't centered below those segments here of the upper part of the building. This just triggers my inner Adrian Monk, that, yeah, always a part of this arch piece here sticks out to the left. I know that this was done so that all these gaps here are more or less the same size, but nevertheless it just triggers me. I also don't like too much that the pillars don't fit perfectly to their bases. So you can see here that, yeah, it doesn't really sit properly on its base. This one here is alright, that's an interlocked pillar. But yeah, I think I would have preferred this pillar being attached to that stud. And yeah, maybe that pillar over here is alright. Step 619. The little inventory box up here is faulty. But I think in this step we only need two pieces. A 1x1 plate and this piece over here. Step 690. We have placed the next building, and once again it was surprisingly easy to place on the build. It is connected to the build via a turntable, and yeah, I'm still quite astonished that this rather fragile looking building really was that easy to place. It's not that fragile at all, it's rather sturdy. And it's way sturdier than this building here, because you can see that we used a lot of those columns for this temple looking like building. And for this building here, we used proper brickwork here. Step 807. We have seen a lot of floating pieces in these instructions, but all of those problems were fixed in later steps when we placed necessary pieces below the floating pieces. The order of placing the pieces was often wrong, but in the end the construction itself was correct. So only the order of the steps was wrong. But I think this time there really is an error in the construction. You can see that we have to place these 4 1x2 bricks with hole in them. And once again we see floating pieces. But I think this time we are not going to add pieces below the floating pieces in later steps. So what I'm going to do now is to place plates below those little segments here. I think the best way would be to place 1x2 plates, but these 1x1 plates should do the job as well. Step 941. We are building one of the final roofs right now, and I just want to take the opportunity to show you how to align all those tiles here perfectly. The method to do that was introduced with Lego's Rivendell set actually. So we simply use one of those bigger plates here and slide it alongside all those tiles until they align perfectly. I do it with a brick separator. That's the same method as doing it with a plate. Step 943. We are building another roof, and this is the last roof on which we have to place such tiles here. As you can see, for this roof we need 2 wedges. I used wedges in light bluish gray, but according to the instructions we have to use wedges in sand green. Sadly, I only have 1 wedge in sand green left. I do not have this wedge here in sand green. There simply went something wrong with my order from China, and you don't get these pieces in sand green on Bricklink, so you really have to order them from China. And yeah, I don't want to wait for several weeks until replacement pieces arrive, and because of that I'm using gray pieces now. When we have a look at the other roofs, there we can see that for some of those roofs we also used wedges in light bluish gray, so it might not be that much of a problem. Well, what we are building right now is the roof, or the part of the roof of this side here, and you can see that for the left side we used wedges in sand green, so it might look a bit strange that this part of the roof now has wedges in light bluish gray, but I hope it won't be that noticeable. Well, while talking about building a roof, I want to show you something. So in the first step of building such a roof, we have to place all those plates here. I did that, and I also already did the next step, step 944. I placed those other plates here on the underside. But you can imagine that it's quite annoying that in this step we place all those plates like this, and then in the next step we have to turn every single plate around, because you can't pick up the whole thing, because the plates aren't interlocked so far. They are interlocked after this step here, but yeah, not yet, and this is very annoying. So you really have to turn around every piece individually and then bring it into position that it just looks like shown here. It would have been way cooler if we had placed all the single pieces upside down in the first place. Step 955. We have completed the last of the huge building complexes, and now it's time to marry it with the main build. And I think this might not be that difficult. You can see that we have to place it here, but not inside this gap, but on top of the gap. You can see that we got a few studs here, which will be connected to our house here, and I think this should be quite doable. Marrying those two segments was no problem at all, and there isn't much left to do now. We have to fill this gap here. After that, we have to place a little pavilion down here, and then we also have to place some trees, and I think after that we are done with this MOC. Step 961. I just have completed the pavilion space, and I really like the building techniques used here. Have a look how we created this circle here. So we started with a bunch of jumper plates and this 2x2 plate in the middle, and with 1x1 tiles in the corners. And then we placed 1x1 round plates on the jumper plates. And yeah, on the studs of the 2x2 plate, we placed those 1x2 round plates, but only one of the anti-studs of those round plates is connected with the plate, and the other anti-stud hovers over one of those tiles. And that way we could create this circle, and it's stabilized by this round jumper plate in the center. Step 972. We have built 3 of those trees, and now we have to place them. One tree is placed here, that's no problem at all. The second tree is placed here, and that's a bit problematic. You can see that this stud interferes with this slope, wedge thing, whatever. And because of that, the tree isn't properly interlocked. This is an illegal building technique. It doesn't fall off, but you can see that it sits in a slight angle, and that's just not cool. And then we have a third tree, which we have to place over here. And that's just impossible. You can see here there is not enough space around this stud here because of this piece, and because of that we can't interlock the 1x1 round plate with this stud. So we have to place this tree somewhere else. I don't know, I think I'm going to place it right here. I will have to see if it interferes with other trees which we are placing in the next steps. I also just changed the position of this tree to avoid the illegal building technique. I placed it one stud closer to the front. Step 1002. We have built 2 more trees. We have placed one tree over here, and the second tree is supposed to be placed on that stud over here. But sadly, the tree interferes, or better said, the tree's leaves interfere with the pieces next to its position. And I think a solution for this is simply to add more of those 1x1 round plates. So I'm going to use 2 of them. I'm placing them over here. And I think now I should be able to add the tree. Hopefully. Oh, it's still not so easy to do. Maybe I also have to make the tree next to it taller. As Is one plate enough? Yeah, one plate is enough. And I think I might even place this tree here back there where it actually was supposed to be placed. You remember I placed it one step to the front because it interfered with this piece over here. So let's make the tree one plate taller. And then it shouldn't interfere with this light bluish gray piece next to it. Yeah, great. Then let's go on with building more trees. Step 1025. We have completed the build. Assembling this MOC might not have been easy, but I think the completed build really looks cool. It's so colorful. Let's have a look at it. So, well, where to start? Down here in the corner, we got a little pavilion. Of course, the real pavilion has a closed roof, but we couldn't recreate this with only these, I don't know, these fins here. But nevertheless, it looks quite cool. I especially like that we really could make it this round. Then yeah, here in the front there is water, which actually isn't correct, but this little basin here is filled by the waterfalls which go down here, and over the waterfalls there is this bridge-like building. Yeah, I think it's just a roofed bridge. And then we got this, I called it gatehouse before, I think, but I think actually it isn't a real gatehouse. It's a house which sits on some kind of arch. And here is a path which goes in there, and then up here somewhere, we will talk about a path later. It continues here. Here's a bridge which goes over another waterfall. And yeah, here's this kind of canyon. I really like how this little creek looks like. It looks so realistic. The bed of this creek really is awesome. Well done. And yeah, then we got this building over here on the right. Looks quite fancy with all these pillars. Really cool. A lot of greebling. When we have a look at the side of this building, yeah, we can see a tower, and have a look at this here. I think this is supposed to be the location where the Council of Elrond took place. I think in the movies we can see here, a little ruined tower or something like that. I think those are supposed to be the ruins. And over here there is, I'm not quite sure, I guess it's the floor. Maybe it's the table, but I guess it's the floor. And even the tree, which can be seen in the movie, is next to this little area. Really well done. In general, it's quite cool that these buildings get these openings here. This makes them look quite elegant. Alright, then behind this gate-like building here, whatever, there we got the huge main building on top of the hill. And yeah, it has got two balconies. By the way, this here also got a cool balcony. And there is the waterfall, or better said, this little stream here, which comes through the building, and yeah, it becomes a waterfall at some point. The iconic huge tower here, which can always be recognized in the movies, and several other smaller towers. And have a look at the roofs. This really looks cool, this pattern with these tiles in 4 different colors. And once again, we have a lot of greebling. I also like that we always get these tips here where the roofs start. Really cool. And then let's turn the whole thing around. You can see that we also have placed a lot of trees, very colorful. And yeah, this is the backside, and of course the backside isn't meant to be displayed. Those buildings here sit on a hill, and so of course when we cut through the whole landscape, there isn't anything to see. We see simply cut through rock, and this is what we can see here. Here's from here comes the water. I guess it comes from up here and goes down there and so on. And also, I'm not sure. I guess here normally should be the other stream. I don't know why it's closed here. But also the backside gives us some details. It's really cool. But let's get back to the important side, the display side. This is a quite huge and heavy build, so it's not so easy to turn it around with just one single hand. I need the other hand to hold the camera. Well, how accurate is this thing? Well, it's hard to say. I think we should compare it to the model by WETA workshops. That's possibly the best model which we got of Rivendell, because it's simply modeled after the model which was used for the movies. I will put a link to the one ring.net in the video description. That website has posted some really cool photos of the WETA workshop model. So there are several differences to the WETA workshop model here. Where do we start? Well, I think the most obvious difference is maybe that I said it before, even before we started with building this thing, that this water area here shouldn't be there. This should be just as black as over here, because we have cut the whole hill at this position, and this here is just air. There is water somewhere, but way down there. Those are quite tall waterfalls, and they don't end here. They end somewhere down here. So this area should be as black as this area over there. I think the tower here on the left in the WETA model shows us this tower bigger and more centered to the building. And there are also not these openings here on this side of this building. And by the way, in the WETA model, all the towers are sand green, just like these towers here. So I don't know why we got these gray towers here. I think the tower of the center building, oh, I'm talking about this one here, is a bit too big. Maybe we should have used this tower over there and that tower over here. That would have been a bit more fitting. I think over here there is a little roof missing. There are also some windows here under that missing roof and so on. And I think here behind this, the building that I called the gatehouse before, there is another of those bridges missing here. And by the way, the gatehouse itself, the gate is there, or the arch is there, because there is another waterfall here. And I think that's the whole reason why they have built the building like this. And the waterfall is completely missing here. There's even another bridge. I think we can clearly see that bridge in the movies. In this case here, we have only created the path, which starts somewhere here and goes all the way up here. I think it's a quite cool idea how the path was created here. So you can see that it's made with these dark bluish gray tiles and slopes. And oh, that was my little lamp. And that gives a bit of contrast to all the light bluish gray pieces. You can see here the path goes on here, goes up there, and these dark bluish gray slopes are supposed to be stairs. Well, let's go on to the right side, I think. So first we have to cross this canyon here. And the WETA model's canyon is way deeper than shown here. But since we got this cool little creek here, I can live with that, it not being that deep. And then we got this building here. I think it is supposed to be a bit longer. And when it's longer, you can place 3 of these openings on that building. And in our case, we only got 2 openings, but there are supposed to be 3. Also, the balcony here in the front isn't the right shape. It's quite circular here, but the WETA model shows this balcony more like, in a rectangular way, I would say. It's a bit thinner and way more rectangular. It's cool that we got the Council of Elrond here, but actually the WETA model doesn't show this council. But I have to say that I think it's a good idea that we got the council here, because it's clearly seen in the movie, and I guess the movie has the bigger priority of being right than the WETA model. The original movie model didn't have this area here either. The council simply wasn't displayed here in the original movie model. But I think this has something to do with CGI. I guess they inserted it later. And also the positions of the buildings are not very accurate in the WETA model, because as far as I know, the original movie model consisted of several pieces, and they went on moving the buildings in different directions from shot to shot to, until things just look cooler, but that way there are some inconsistencies in the movies. The rocks is something I talked before I started with the build. Yeah, the whole rocky stuff looks very gray. And in the movies and also in the WETA model, the rocks have different colors. I think, yeah, it would have been cool if we had added more pieces in tan, brown, green, and so on. This way it's just a bit too gray. Luckily, we have placed a lot of very colorful trees, and also thanks to the roofs, we get a lot of color in this model, but the rocks themselves also should be more colorful. The facades in the back, yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. They are built completely different in the WETA model than shown here. But yeah, I think this doesn't really matter at all, because this clearly is not the side we are going to look at. We want to display the set from the front. Oh, and I think there is even another waterfall missing. There is a water connection between this area and this stream here, and that's why there is another bridge, another of these roof bridges in the WETA model, which is missing here. But all in all, this MOC is quite accurate, and I think you can't do much better with only construction blocks. The build is relatively sturdy, but there are of course also some fragile parts. I wouldn't mess too much with those facades or with the trees. For some reason there's also this, completely loose segment over here. Have a look. It isn't interlocked with anything at all. Very strange. Maybe I will find a way to interlock it somehow with the rest of the build. In big parts, I had much fun assembling this MOC, but not with building trees and roofs. Building those things with construction blocks is in only very rare cases fun. One can work with the instructions, but in parts they are also quite frustrating. The resolution is too low, and annoying watermarks don't make the visibility any better. Sometimes the order of the steps isn't the best. We have to place pieces which should have been placed many steps before. And quite a few things can't be built. But those are quite easy to fix, like all those rock pieces here. It gets better later, but in the first third of the instructions, there we had to place several pieces whose positions simply weren't always easy to find out. Especially the underside of this bigger building complex here in the back was quite problematic. Things are not as bad as Sir Percival made them appear in his comment, but this is definitely a build for which you need some patience, and I can confirm that the instructions clearly haven't been used for a test build. For me personally, the most annoying part was that the parts list on Replicable is completely wrong, and we only get the correct list in form of a PDF file as part of the instructions themselves. I would have preferred an additional XML or CSV file and maybe some warning that we should not use the list provided by Replicable and that LEGO does not produce all the pieces in the needed colors. A huge thanks to Sir Percival for mentioning this in his comment. It would have been I would have been extremely annoyed if I had to find out this during the building process. I could have saved some euros, I think, if I hadn't ordered pieces from the replicable list. For example, have a look at these pieces here. We got several pieces which, yeah, we didn't use at all. At least not in those colors. In general, I have a lot of leftover pieces. Yeah, maybe I could have saved 10 or 20 euros, I guess. This probably also has something to do with the replicable list. Just use the inventory list in the instructions and completely ignore that stupid replicable list. If you exclusively want to build with Lego bricks, then you have to replace a lot of pieces, because Lego doesn't produce all the pieces in the needed colors. If you are fine with using bricks by various companies, then you only have to replace very few pieces. I couldn't find 3x3 corner plates, these things here, in light bluish gray or dark bluish gray. I also replaced all the pieces in light gray with pieces in light bluish gray, and all pieces in fabulent brown with pieces in medium nougat. And I ignored all mode variations of same pieces. I can also recommend to buy a bunch of additional 1x1 bricks, 1x1 bricks modified, and 1x1 round plates to fix all those problematic rock formations. I think once you have collected all the needed bricks, you have overcome the MOC's biggest obstacle. My guess is that Sir Percival had to find out during the building process that the replicable list is completely useless, and that put him in quite a bad mood. Combined with the other, at least in my opinion, less critical problems of the instructions, this made him give up and, not complete the build. I can understand this, but if you go on and soldier through, then you get a quite beautiful build in the end. In the beginning, I was annoyed myself too, but in the end, I was reconciled with this MOC. There are no insurmountable obstacles. With some patience, almost all problems can be solved quite easily. Patience is the key to complete this build. This is not a fast build. It takes some time to complete, and I would recommend only to build about 100 to 150 steps per session, since those steps can be quite exhausting. There are some very interesting building techniques and also some demanding techniques which at least border illegality. You don't have to be a master builder, but this is not a MOC for beginners either. It's a bit more complicated to acquire the bricks than usually, and the instructions definitely are not streamlined and they are full of tiny errors. But as said before, those errors can be easily fixed. And then you should be able to recreate Elrond's home.